decide someone's whole life, yeah. Yeah, I'm pro-God and I'm pro-life. And I'm pro-guns and you know that I am pro-life. I'm pro-life, yeah. Yeah, I'm pro-life. Pro-life, yeah. Yeah, I'm pro-life, yeah. Who are you to decide someone's whole life? Yeah, I'm pro-God, pro-guns, and I'm pro-life.
I'm pro-life, pro-life, I'm pro-life. I told you about 1,000,000 times. Why you gotta take those kids? Why you gotta end them before they begin? Don't you know that your little baby has soul? Every abortion is letting them go. There goes my baby, there goes my heart and my soul. There goes the future, we letting you go. We just cannot see the vision. Mama cannot see why you should keep living. She just going through life, perfectly okay with letting you die. She just painting her nails and saying, oh well, if all else fails, we'll send her to hell. Yeah, I know that this sounds very gruesome. Yeah, I know you tear up when we lose them. People are selfish and people are wicked, not understanding the cost of decisions. If you wanna play the most dangerous game, then gamble with your life like binary fission. That's the way of reproduction. Now give it a deconstruction. One cell becomes 2, then 4, then 8, and before you know the baby's got a beating heart to break. Then a couple months and now the little baby got a brain. So tell me how that is your body when the baby can feel pain, or tell me how that is your body when the baby's listening. So excited to see the world, just a little baby girl, so let her have your whole life and no one's worth sacrificing.
Yeah, I'm pro-God and I'm pro-life, and I'm pro-guns, and you know that I am pro-life. I'm pro-life, yeah. Yeah, I'm pro-life.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned in with me. My name is Chandler Crump, and this is our show, Crump Live. As you guys know, we go live every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the dime, on the dot. Always here live for you guys, back again for another episode of Crump Live with, again, your host, Chandler Crump. Just saying everything twice so you guys make sure you don't forget it. We're live here again on YouTube and Rumble and all the other platforms we're always on. So if you can hear me, you can read me in the comments. Let me know by giving me a big old thumbs up in the comments, a big old plus if you're over on Rumble, or, and I should say or, so that you also do it in the comments by saying, hey, like Not Bob Saget and Steve Harloa is in the building. I'm sure we'll have some other folks in here too soon as well. We've got a packed, and I mean packed show for you guys. I didn't think so many things could happen in a 24-hour period, but welcome to 2022's America, where something is always happening, and if something isn't happening, that is a something happening in and of itself. There have literally been days where there's been nothing going on, and people are scared because there's nothing going on. That's a real thing. I'm sure they're going to name it, some big study thing's going to come out to explain why people are scared of nothing happening. But for now, we don't have that fear because we've got plenty of news to jump into today. But first things first, I actually have to announce, and I forgot to edit it. We have a lot of, like I said, we had a lot of subjects to get to, but we have a Hall of Heroes update. So if you guys don't know, you guys are new to the channel, we have a constantly rotating list of people up here that have donated to support the show. And as always, around this time, we got to give a big shout out to our boy Mark Cook, who jumped in with another $104 as he does every month around this time. So big shout out to him, Mr. Mark Cook, longtime supporter of the channel. And then also we have another one, our classic Inespo in the building. I don't know if she's here right now, but she's always in there. So shout out to all the people joining the Hall of Heroes. You'll be added to the Hall of Champions as well, but I like to manually type it in so you guys can see the stress and struggle I go through. But shout out to all of them. Let's get started with the news today, the topics of the day. Hang out with me. It is a nice Tuesday evening. It is October 11th, not quite October 10th anymore, so it's not 10 out of 10. It's 10 out of 11, so not as good anymore. But anyways, no more further dilly-dallying. Let's jump in. Starting off in Arizona, one of my favorite states in the union. I mean, it's at least in my top 5. There's a big gubernatorial race happening over there right now, and it's getting heated. And by heated, I mean Katie Hobbs is getting absolutely obliterated. Just, it's not going very well for her. She is getting torn to shreds by, like, half the things I see on my Twitter feed are actually just Carrie Lake obliterating Katie Hobbs. Like, I never see anything positive about Katie. And that continues on even now because Katie Hobbs has now been exposed by Project Veritas. Oh, it couldn't get worse. If Project Veritas has you in their crosshairs, just give up. Just give up. You're done. You are done. Good day, sir. You lose. Okay, like Gene Wilder in the and the Charlie Chocolate Factory. I've made that reference before. I know we have people in the comments school me on which movie it was, but that was right. Good day, sir. You lose. And that's exactly what happens whenever Project Veritas is approaching you. And that just so happens to be what happened to Katie Hobbs. Yes, that happened, and I said that a million times. Democrats are going to vote for her anyway is not a good excuse to skip the debate. So much contempt. Let's hear this. I actually have not watched this, so this is about to be my first reaction. I'm so very excited. I love Project Veritas, and actually, this is going to be a great time.
R.C. Maxwell with Project Veritas action. I want to ask you a brief question about the statements that he's made.
I don't want to talk to you.
No. Okay, a lot happened in that first 10 seconds, so let me just, run it back. Let you guys get slowly, and I'll talk less and maybe turn it up a bit more so you guys can hear it. So you can hear just what happened.
R.C. Maxwell with Project Veritas action. I want to ask you a brief question about the statements that he's made.
She knocked over her drink trying to escape from our boy R.C. Maxwell, who is the press secretary with Project Veritas, as he said right there. Long time great, just amazing guy. And he's done this before, obviously. He's worked with Project Veritas for a while. He actually ran up on AOC a few years back at this point, and was like pretending to get a picture with her and then was asking her some things. It was hilarious. I might even pull up. It was so funny. But this just happened with Katie Hobbs. We'll let the rest of the video play, but I gotta see this one last time. It's so good.
R.C. Maxwell with Project Veritas action. I want to ask you a brief question about the statements that he's made.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk politics with anyone who I don't know.
Multiple Project Veritas journalists investigated the Katie Hobbs campaign for governor in Arizona.
I would love nothing more than the opportunity to have a substantive conversation about the issues, and Carrie Lake has shown that she's capable of doing that. So we are providing opportunity for folks to hear me around the state, and we're going to keep doing it.
Carrie Lake has shown that she is incapable of doing that, says Katie Hobbs, who has refused to show up to every single debate.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about, man? What is going on here?
Concerns about Katie's candidate not debating Carrie Lake, which is
Why not?
we don't know. They basically said only Democrats care about debates, and it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, but she is a Democrat.
They were saying only Democratic voters care, so they're not going to lose any votes because Democrats are going to vote for anyway, which maybe is true, but it's as a politician, you never want to say, "Oh, I'm taking these votes for granted." I think it's as simple as that. They just don't think that the debate is worth her time, either because they think it's not going to change anyone's mind, or they think it might actively be bad for her in some way.
Did you watch the GOP primary debate? When Clean Elections was like, here's the debate format, it was exactly the same as the primary. And I was like, we're not going to put her in that. Like, she's not going to be part of something like that. Like, if you want to make a format.
Her campaign manager. No, they got everyone. That
actually allows for like a substantive policy debate.
Yeah.
And where you can like compare positions. Sure, we'll do that.
Would Katie support something like an assault weapons ban?
If she could, yeah. I mean, the problem is that's a federal issue, right? There's nothing she could do about it.
Right.
At least immediately, right? Instead of kind of advocating for it publicly, which is really more impactful once you're governor. So it's kind of like, this state, unfortunately, is crazy and what they got, so we're not going to take
Unfortunately.
before she can do anything about it. He loves their best. Like, he would never say something like Tom O'Halloran, congressman, Democrat, represents all this. Never.
Really?
Never say anything like that.
Really? Because that's such a big issue here, huh?
Correct, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that an AR-15?
That is an AR-15. Easier to fire than a handgun.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
That's why it's scary.
Don't you think rules for thee but not for me is problematic for someone running for state office? The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs. Doesn't want to discuss policy.
No, dude. No, they got him all, too. Every last one of them. Campaign managers, consultants. Dude pulled up with the blicky. He had the AR-15 in the car.
Never.
What's this?
Oh, yeah.
Is that an AR-15?
That is an AR-15. Easier to fire than a handgun.
Head political consultant of the Katie Hobbs campaign, of which what was this guy? The Joe Wolf head political consult. Wait, is that the same guy? Huh? Make this make sense. I thought it was. I was at least benefited of the doubt. I thought it was a different guy. He was talking about, well, she would support an assault weapons ban if she could. But this dude's got what they are loudly classifying as the assault weapon AR-15 assault rifle 15, because that's obviously what it means. He's got the blicky blick in his car, the AR-15 that they say is the what's killing all the children and all that. He's got it. He says it's easier to fire than a handgun, bro. And so that's why RC's like, do you think rules for me but not for thee, or rules for thee but not for me is a bad thing?
An AR-15 easier to fire than a handgun.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
That's why it's scary.
Wow.
Don't you think rules for thee but not for me is problematic for someone running for state office? The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs. Doesn't want to discuss policy.
Oh, she doesn't want to discuss policy. She doesn't want to do anything that could threaten her voter base of maybe some of the moderate Republicans that might be like, you know what, Carrie Lake is too ultra MAGA. Ultra MAGA. I can't support her. But then, once you decide to vote Katie Hobbs in, she goes for the assault weapons ban, or at least advocates for it. Or maybe something like this, where she was on Face the Nation, CBS, just today, or no, actually just in the last couple of days, and was going on about how abortion, it's up to a woman and the doctor, and there should be no limits on that. Essentially advocating for abortion up to birth, if that's what they wanted. Yes, what's extreme? AZ's Democratic nominee Katie Hobbs endorsing abortion up to the moment of birth live on television. If an AZ voter were to conclude from your previous answer that you do not favor any specific week limit on abortion, would they be correct? Would they be correct? Katie Hobbs, let's hear it.
So if an Arizona voter were to conclude from your previous answer that you do not favor any specific week limit on abortion, would they be correct?
I support leaving the decision between a woman and her doctor and leaving politicians entirely out of it.
Leaving politicians entirely out of it. That's obviously vague politician speak for, I don't really want to get too far into this, because as soon as I do, the people that I want to support me, their eyes are glazing over. And the people that oppose me, are going to be like, hold up, let's jump in on this. What is she saying about abortion? Oh yeah, up to the mom and the daughter, not the daughter at all, up to the mom and the doctor. And next thing you know, baby has a beating heart, no more. There it goes. Out the window to whatever Planned Parenthood or whatever other organization does with the aborted babies after they're gone. Because they don't just vanish. They take that thing out and they do something with it. Disgusting to imagine. And I don't want to know what happens, because I'm sure it'll make me sick to my stomach, but it's something that we probably need to know. We need to know. But unfortunately, this industry is just going to be allowed to continue until something is done about it. And something does appear to be maybe having been done about it. The federal government struck down the quote-unquote constitutional right to it, so now it's back down to the states. And the harder we fight in states like Arizona with Carrie Lake, the further we'll get from this industry getting stronger and stronger. It's going to get weaker. In fact, soon as we get Katie Hobbs out of the building. Out. Now, just because your baby might not get aborted doesn't mean they don't want to do some weird things to it. A study just came out from Harvard in which they claimed that an unborn baby will know if it's transgender. Now, critics have obviously slammed this, but Harvard's Children's Hospital has claimed that babies know in the womb if they are transgender.
Stop the cap.
Nope.
Come on, man.
You can't keep getting away with this. You can't keep getting away with it.
They can't, man. A Harvard-affiliated children's hospital has sparked outrage after claiming some babies know they are transgender. In a now-deleted video, the Boston Children's Hospital suggested an even larger number of minors know as soon as they can talk. Critics told the Daily Mail the claim was not based on science and suggested medics at the hospital are unwilling to question children who are often vulnerable. The hospital, part of the Harvard University medical system, also faces claims it rushed under 18s into life-altering gender-affirmant surgery. In the clip posted to the Boston Hospital's official YouTube page in August, psychologist Carrie McGregor explains the type of patients she sees. She says, "So most of the patients we have in the clinic actually know their gender, usually around the age of puberty, but a good portion of children do know as early as seemingly from the womb. As soon as they express their gender identity as very young children, some as soon as they can talk, kids know very, very early." It comes as several states begin to clamp down on puberty blockers being prescribed to children, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott has previously likened it to child abuse. And it appears this might be the video here. And there's the quote right
so
there.
Most of the patients that we have in the GEMS clinic actually know their gender, usually around the age of puberty. But a good portion of children do know as early as seemingly from the womb. And they will usually express their gender identity as very young children, some as soon as they can talk.
Bro, please, man. Please get this madness out, all right? I'm sick and tired of it, man.
Go, you know the thing.
Y'all know it. Y'all know it, man. I'm in shock. I'm in shock sometimes. Dr. Jay Richards from the right-wing Heritage Foundation told the Daily Mail the claim that children know their gender identity seeming from the womb is a claim with no basis in science or data. It's simply a concept imposed on the actions of kids by gender ideologues. Richards said it was another sign of a social contagion that is increasingly creeping into medicine. I think even 25 years ago, this would have been unthinkable. The Boston Clinic sees children as young as 2 and 3. New patients are given counseling before exploring pharmaceutical options. The clinic also offers that child space and support to explore their gender. Stella O'Malley, who is a psychotherapist who specializes in gender issues, told the Daily Mail, when distressed and vulnerable young people are offered an option to be somebody different, it's very, very alluring, and gender ideology does offer that. Let me tell you, if I wasn't raised the way I was raised, and I was in some random place like, I don't know, the Harvard Medical Center, and I was all unhappy. I was mad that I wasn't a pretty princess, and people weren't calling me all sweet things. Instead, we're saying, oh, he's just a dirty boy who's all distracted, because keep in mind, that is the language they use for young men in America. You know, young boys, rambunctious, which isn't so bad, but dirty, violent, rude, too energetic, etc., etc. Meanwhile, young girls are showered with a lot of praise. A young boy like myself, or any other an example, like the one we had a few weeks back, where it's like little Tommy, who turns into, what was the name? But little Tommy in some town in Great Britain, he's like, I want to wear a dress, mommy. I think it'll make me feel so much better. Okay, obviously, these young boys are going to make the choice, sometimes even girls, sometimes it goes the other way, but these young boys are going to be like, well, dang it, I'm sick and tired of being the butt of the joke. I'm sick and tired of being constantly the problem. So, mommy, I want a dress. And mommy, I want to have the surgery. And I want to take the pills. All that stuff. And it might just be what happens. I mean, dang it, it is very alluring, and gender ideology does offer that. So little Timmy is going to become little Tina. And that's just the way things work. Tommy will become, I can't think of a T-O girl name. Tori. There you go. Tommy becomes Tori. There you go. That's a good one. Seriously, though. This is crazy. Ben says that was a funny voice. Renee says, boys are under siege. Domineering mothers are pushing this transgender propaganda upon their sons. Ben says, you should be a British voice actor. I don't know, man. I think I can just hit that. I can just barely hit that Timmy that becomes, what was the name I just said? Timmy that becomes Tina voice. Just like, I'm sick and tired of being the butt of the joke. I want to wear a dress, mommy. I'm sick and tired. Okay? And clearly, that just might be what happens. Just might be. So obviously, these are the things that might just come their way to Arizona, come to any state. That's why these midterm elections are so very important. So very important. And that's why we got to keep an eye out for very strange people like Tulsi Gabbard, who might throw a monkey wrench into everything. And Rizzo says, Tommy becomes Tammy. There you go. But as you guys know, today, Tulsi Gabbard announced something massive. She announced that she plans to leave the Democrat Party and is calling it an elitist cabal of warmongers. That story and more coming very soon. Don't turn the channel. We'll be right back after these brief messages from our sponsors. You guys already know them. You guys already love them. MyPillow. We'll be right back. Hey, freethinkers. Chandler here, and man, I'm sure your day-to-day life leaves you just as, if not more tired than me. So why not elevate your night's sleep? Pillows, blankets, sheets, mattresses. As you can hear by me droning on in the background, the list of MyPillow products is long and varied, and sometimes, dare I say, ridiculous. But it all goes towards an amazing cause, all the while giving you the best night's sleep in the whole wide world. Go to MyPillow.com and use code CRUMP, that is code CRUMP, for your very own discount today. Now, let's get back to the show. I finally brought the slippers back down from my bedroom so you can get another peek at these amazing things. They're so very comfortable. They're really great to just slip on in a pinch when you need to go get something. Very useful. So make sure you go to mypillow.com and use code CRUMP for your discount on pillows, slippers, blankets, all that stuff right now, today. Great deals all behind the code. CRUM people. Let's jump back in to Tulsi Gabbard because, man, it's so funny stuff. GCS says, you sound like Peppa Pig. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you're probably right. We're gonna leave the accent behind. I don't want to do it too hard. Okay, I might blow my voice out, but it's very true. And I'm Peppa Pig. This is my little brother George. There's Mommy Pig. And then there's Daddy Pig. Okay, all right, that's enough of that. Anyways, moving on. Tulsi Gabbard announces she is leaving the Democratic Party and is calling it an elitist cabal of warmongers. Former Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard announced that she is leaving the Democratic Party. Yada yada, we just read this like the 4th time. While calling upon other common-sense, independent-minded Democrats to exit with her. I can no longer remain in today's Democrat Party that is now under the complete control of the warmongers, driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoke anti-white racism. That's pretty based, actually. Actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms and are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, demonize the police, and protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans. Gabbard represented Hawaii's 2nd congressional district from 2013 to 2021 as a Democrat, and in 2020 mounted an unsuccessful bid for the party's presidential nomination. In a video posted to Twitter on Tuesday, she claimed the party she's exiting stands for the powerful elite and not the people. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, I invite you to join me. Let you guys have a quick peek of this video yourself for your own ideas as to if you believe this, if you trust this, because I actually haven't watched this yet. I've just read about it, so this should be good. Let's see here.
No longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, and I invite you to join me. I wanna throw a big fat, just like what's the right sound effect? I'm trying to think really carefully. Just here, there you go. Be careful, okay? Now, what a lot of conservatives just heard was like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. Tulsi Gabbard is finally one of us. She's finally awakening and opening her eyes and walking away from the Democrat Party. And you're not wrong. What she just said was amazing. Great, the Democrat Party is going to take a big hit. But just because she's saying some real cool things like calling out anti-white racism, which a lot of conservatives don't even do. A lot of conservatives are like, I don't see color. Some of them are even as weak as to say, well, I think Black Lives Matter, and you throw the fist up, black square, all that. So we obviously have a few weak conservatives out there. Just because she's saying some base things does not mean she's a proud member of MAGA. Because she is not. We have to remember truly where Tulsi Gabbard stands. I want to give a huge shout out to Let's Be Frank we got in the building. Shout out to him. And yes, Juicy, spooky. That's exactly right. This is, and I wasn't trying to be spooky with it. I was trying to say, hold on, okay? Because you need to see just how many people are in the comments, and obviously she had this huge thing. Tim Young says, what took you so long, which is great. But obviously, there's plenty of stuff to call out here like this, although I think this has some sort of Hawaiian meaning. Some people said that. Welcome to any other side besides the left. Speaking from experience, they're nicer here. So a lot of people are like, this is good for Tulsi Gabbard. But some people are taking this too far. And this is a sentiment I saw plenty of on Twitter just today. Because this actually dropped today. And so she's only been free from the reins of the Democrat Party up until maybe about a couple hours ago. So obviously this is a new thing for her, but this is wrong, okay?
No.
Get that out of here, all right? No. No.
I'm just being honest.
We cannot have this. This is evil.
That was diabolical.
This is diabolical. We cannot allow this. Right here, this says Trump 2024 with Tulsi.
Cause I'm stupid.
But wait, it gets worse.
Because there are so many people out here saying this. Somebody in the comments says, I'd be cool with Tulsi Trump. Trump as the vice president? Are you serious, my brother? But thankfully, a lot more people are like, no, absolutely not. Hard pass on Tulsi, still a dim. Nope, nope, nope. Please, hard pass. Bruh, who found this? There you go. No, and it is a hell no. Exactly. So thankfully, a good amount of conservatives or, ultra MAGA Trumpers, whatever they are just sitting there. Is that Alec Baldwin saying really, really bad idea? Hilarious. Thankfully, a lot of people still have their minds on. Cooler heads may just prevail. But I want to put this forward as a cautionary tale. Just because somebody is out there spitting all the same facts, just remember what they were doing a month ago. Just remember. Now, I am all for people growing and changing. I can't punish Trump by the same things he said in 2016 versus now. And honestly, if 2022 was happening before 2016, I definitely couldn't punish Trump for it if he became 2016 Trump again. But that really all goes to say, of course, people can grow and change, but you have to give them time to do it, okay? Somebody ain't gonna snap their fingers and change overnight unless they have a stroke like John Fetterman. Okay, that was a low blow. We're gonna talk about him in a minute too. But seriously, we gotta take it nice and slow. Now, can Tulsi one day be ultra MAGA? Sure. Just might be like maybe 5-10 years from now, we can, take things real slow, let her just marinate in the based sauce before she maybe gets there. But in the meantime, she's on ice. She is on ice. We're going to be inspecting her real closely, all right? We're going to just keep a close eye on her. And if she maybe begins to slightly present as someone we can possibly have, maybe as a Republican representative somewhere, then maybe that's right. Maybe that's right. There's a stark difference between somebody that for a long time was espousing progressive ideas that switched parties than a person that was espousing conservative ideas and then switched parties. Like comparing Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know how many people have done this, but comparing Tulsi Gabbard to Vernon Jones. Vernon Jones was a longtime Democrat in Georgia, but he ran as a conservative under most things. He even lost out in the 2008 Senate primaries or something like that in Georgia way back before I can remember, but I did the research on it when he was running for House in Georgia. But he ran and lost because he was not progressive enough. So, ergo, a few years later, he switches to join the Republican Party. Now, that's a big difference. Tulsi Gabbard did not announce she's joining the Republican Party or anything, and a lot of people predict she's going to be running as a independent come 2024, and that just makes the most sense. But either way, that all goes to say, take it nice and slow, be cautious, be careful, and don't throw all your ducks behind Tulsi Gabbard because she just might lead them to slaughter. She just might. Let's Be Frank says that was hilarious, Chandler. Which one? I feel like I said a lot of hilarious things right there, and it's hard to keep track. I'm just so funny. No, but seriously, let me know what you guys think. Shout out to the folks we have watching us over on Rumble as well. I really appreciate all y'all. We got people in the Rumble chat. Ali says buffering for anyone else. Let me know if it's still going like that. I know sometimes Rumble has small issues, but for the most part, it's a great, solid platform. And the best thing about them is that they do not censor me. They do not censor me, and I absolutely love that. So shout out to the folks we have joining us live over on Rumble. And then also the folks we have on our locals community over here as well. I'll show you off to you guys real quick. And Frank, are you on locals and Rumble? You gotta be, man. You gotta be. The Fetterman. Oh, yeah, that was a low blow, but it was good. That was a great one. But also shout out to the folks we have watching us over on our locals community, people who are tuning in, supporting the show and supporting our community. We are ever growing, and I want to get us even closer to growing further and further on locals. There are more people joining locals now than ever before. People that are fleeing Patreon, people that are freeing all that craziness. So make sure you join us over on Rumble and locals. We have our Rumble chat on screen occasionally as well whenever we have folks communicating over there. So make sure you check it out and consider joining our locals as well. It will be a great time. And if you use code CRUMP, that is code CRUMP, you can get 2 months for free over on locals to gain access to all of our exclusive content, be able to post your own content to our locals, and see sneak peeks for all sorts of fun things coming up very, very soon, like whatever this picture might be depicting. That's a couple months out at this point, but it's going to be a great time nonetheless. So make sure you check us out over on chandlercrump.locals.com. Link is in the description below, and you use code CRUMP for your discount today. But now it's about time we move on to John Fetterman, who I sadly savaged at my monologue there, and honestly,
He kind of deserves it. He does. Like, when you go through what he's gone through, you gotta just say, and he went through it, like, in the midst of the primaries, too. Like, there are other Democrats capable of being in his position right now. So the smart thing to do would just be like, all right, step back, let somebody else handle it. I'm going to respectfully drop out of the race. Guys, I might even regret saying this in a couple decades, but if I have a stroke at a point where there can be other people that can step up and take the position for me, maybe not after the primary, but before it, I would probably step back and say, you know what? I'm just not mentally in the position to support myself in this right now. You need somebody else do it. Somebody else do it. And somebody will step up and do it. Hopefully, I can endorse them, all that good stuff. John Fetterman, I understand you have so much career left in you. I'm sure you think that. But you are having a hard time understanding what interviewers are asking you. You have to use a Hey Siri-like software to tell you what they're saying. He had to use a transcribing software so that the computer would hear what the lady is saying, and then he could read it off the computer screen, because he cannot process audio signals from these people. He doesn't understand what they're saying anymore. This is bad, man. This is bad. Let's hear it.
We had a monitor set up so that he could read my questions, because he still has lingering auditory processing issues as a result of the stroke, which means he has a hard time understanding what he's hearing. Now, once he reads the question, he's able to understand. You'll hear he also still has some problems, some challenges with speech. And I'll say, Katie, that just in some of the small talk prior to the interview, before the closed captioning was up and running, it did seem that he had a hard time understanding our conversations. We had a
hard time understanding our conversations. Here's the actual interview, and you can see the computer screen reading back to him what the lady is saying.
His campaign required that he be allowed to use a transcription program on his computer during our interview.
I always thought I was pretty empathetic. Emphatic. I think I was very, empathetic. That's an example of the stroke, empathetic. I always thought I was very empathetic before having a stroke. But now, after having that stroke, I really understand, much more kind of the challenges that Americans have.
His campaign.
And this is the guy we want to elect to represent Pennsylvania. One of 2 seats within 1 of 100 of the Senate. But Pennsylvania only gets 2 seats, just like every other state. Now, of course, we are still in a tricky situation, because it's either elect Democrat, and I don't want to be disrespectful in saying this, but honestly, Democrat dummy John Fetterman right now. Sadly, that's just the way he is, and there's not much that can be done about that. And, I mean, he does look like a caveman. I've said that a few times as well. But either way, either elect John Fetterman or Dr. Oz. Oh, man. Don't you just love this system sometimes? Don't you really? Now, who can we blame for Dr. Oz? President Trump. Once again, not a perfect man. We had great options. Kathy Barnett. Beautiful. Fantastic option. Would have been great. But no, Dr. Oz, he's the one. He's the one. Now, honestly, if I lived in Pennsylvania, which I'm... not to insult Pennsylvanians, but I'm very glad I don't live in Pennsylvania. But if I did, I would maybe have to consider casting my vote for Dr. Oz, or maybe just don't vote third party or something, honestly, because I'm not with that World Economic Forum madness garbage. Agar-san says the winner is Oz. Oz will serve us well. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, man, hopefully. But after the primaries, he did remove Trump from his website completely. Now, you could say, oh, that's because he wanted to appeal to moderates. But frankly, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just really careful with these things, really mistrustful of people in these political positions pretty constantly. So the second somebody's out here kind of turning their back on something, I'm going to be like, ooh, what are we talking about? I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah, you already had to prove your trust, and I'm just being careful. Sloppy says Tulsi is still on board with the plan. They're just using her to go find their lost sheeple and keep the big, bad Republicans from getting them. Exactly. Because she's not going to take votes from many Democrats. She's not. She's not taking votes from Joe Biden and or Kamala Harris, more so of the or factor. Kamala Harris, why would Biden run in 24? Either way, she's not going to be taking votes from Kamala. She's going to be taking votes from Trump, or whoever else on the right side runs, like Mike Pompeo. I heard some rumors about him. I don't really know about that one, but you got people on Rumble. Patriot Spread says Tulsi Klaus Schwab's girl. So very true. I mean, you know, pretty much anybody you can connect back to this World Economic Forum madness is not worthy of your trust. Not worthy. And that is a certifiable fact right there. Just throw your hands up. Be careful with these people. I don't know about John Fetterman, but Dr. Oz, man, they got their hands in a lot of cookie jars. That's all I'm saying. That's all. And we let it happen. It might go a very, very strange direction. It might just. We've got plenty more topics to jump into today. We are basically just getting kicked off with the show. Shout out to everybody we have in the building, and also shout out to our current Hall of Heroes members, Mark Cook and Espo, and also our Hall of Champions over here, which will be updated to represent Mark and Espo once again. They're also on the previous month, so they'll be on both sides. Shout out to them for that. If you guys want to join the Hall of Heroes, all those options are available in the description below. You can just go to donorbox.org/support-Chandler and consider a one-time or monthly donation to encourage our ability to keep bringing this content to you. Shout out to all the folks we currently have on our donor box wall. Tune says $1 for each year on this earth. Keep up the hard work. It will pay out in the end. Happy birthday again. We had all the people sending so many happy birthday donations / gifts last month, which was absolutely amazing. I'm almost about to hit my 1 month anniversary of being 18. That's going to be fun. That'll be this Saturday. That's nice. And from then on, it's just the endless counting up until I am John Fetterman. No, but seriously, if you want to donate, support the show, all those options are available in the comments below, donorbox.org/support-Chandler. If you have a message or a comment or a question you want me to read, include it in your donor box message and I'll make sure to get to it. We also, of course, support Cash App donations as well. The image usually scrolls when I have my screen a different mode, but it's also available down there. It's just $ChandlerCR. All those options are available in the comments below. Consider it and consider supporting our show. Ben says, hooray, you can vote now. Yes, that was just last month. It was a very, very great time. And I'm so excited. I'm all registered and everything, so it's going to be a good time. I'm sending Stacey Abrams back to Golden Corral and Raphael Warnock to church for the first time. Because a lot of people very wisely corrected me when I said back to church, that he has never been to church, really. Because what type of church-going man is pro-abortion? What type of church-going pastor is pro-abortion? I don't know, man. Georgia, we've spent enough time talking about Georgia, and we will be covering the midterms and all that live with Georgia whenever that comes, just in about a couple of weeks. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a real great time. Georgia, Texas, Arizona, all these places. I'm going to be keeping an eye on Beto O'Rourke versus Greg Abbott, Kari Lake versus Katie Hobbs. I barely even know her name because she barely is ever out there on the field. Dr. Oz versus Fetterman, all of them. It's going to be a big, great time. So I'm excited to cover it all. Anyways, we've got more stories to jump into. Let's jump into White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who used her press briefing to talk about how gay she is. I'm not capping either.
Stop the cap.
I'm not capping. She used her job as the White House press secretary to be the press secretary of the leader of the free world, the White House, President Joe Biden, to talk about how gay she is and her story of coming out. I'm sorry, I needed a moment of silence there for the office of the press secretary. Now, I'm sure I, like many of y'all, forgot for a long time that this woman is actually a lesbian. Because frankly, it really didn't matter. All right? We already stressed enough about how terrible she does as her job as press secretary and how much she probably hates her job. But seriously, dude, I don't even know. At the top of today's White House press briefing on Tuesday, White House Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters her own coming out story in honor of National Coming Out Day. This is the sum total of Jean-Pierre's announcement about National Coming Out Day. She revealed her personal story about how she came out as a lesbian to family and friends.
So today is National Coming Out Day, and so I wanted to start by sharing my own coming out story. Like so many in the LGBTQ community, coming out wasn't an easy thing to do. My family was traditional and conservative. Being gay in my family wasn't something that you mentioned out loud or celebrated. But my family, like many other families, grew to accept who I was. They saw that who I loved didn't change who I was as a person. It didn't change the things I liked to do, and it didn't change the goals I had for my life. The beauty of America is its freedoms and the promise that you can achieve your dreams no matter your race, sex, country of origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity.
And there you go, gender identity too, because they always really incorporate these things in twos. They had the whole racial revolution, which, you know, make of it what you will, make everything about race, Black Lives Matter, black squares, isn't that great? But then push it even further by making it, oh yeah, it's National Coming Out Day. I didn't know this was a thing until today. All right? Don't we have enough days for everybody? Excuse me, I'm gonna sound like a boomer sitting at the couch with a beer in his hand and a cigarette in the other, stressing about everything. But seriously, there is a Gay Pride Month, there is a Gay History Month, there's a National Coming Out Day, there's a Bisexual Day of Visibility, there's a Transgender Day of Visibility, there's a Gay Day of Visibility, there's a Lesbian Day of Visibility, as if half these things don't mean the exact same thing. And we now have the excuse to bring this to the White House when we have people suffering and stressing about how terrible the economy is. Gas prices still at $6 and $7 a gallon in California. No one wants to talk about that, but we have to sit here for 2 minutes listening to Corinne Jean-Pierre talk about how much she likes girls and how much she was glad her family finally came to accept and celebrate the fact that she likes girls when none of us asked and none of us care. Okay? Oh my gosh. None of us asked, none of us care. We just want our country back, man. We just want our country back, bro. That's all we want. Oh, it's hilarious, dude. It's hilarious.
This is something we continue to strive toward and fight for, particularly as we continue to see a wave of anti-LGBTQ legislation across the country.
Yeah, anti-LGBTQ legislation. We don't want people cutting up kids for their own benefit. All right, is that so hard to ask? All right, gays against groomers getting banned off of Twitter and basically everything else when all they're trying to do is forbid this exact same stuff that you guys are pushing for? We have that transgender teacher in Canada wearing breasts larger than your body. Corinne Jean-Pierre, larger than your head. Have you seen this person? Come on now. Can't you understand why we're slightly against maybe these kids walking into school and seeing a person so grotesquely inhuman looking that they don't even know what to say? That they're so uncomfortable they just have to stand up and walk out of the class, walk out of the school building, go home, sit on their bed, put their hands in their head, and say, what the heck did I just see? And what is the world? I don't know, man. I don't know. So, of course, anti-LGBTQ legislation, all this madness they want to push for. Today is National Coming Out Day, and you will eat it up. You will scroll through your timeline and hit the like button and share your coming out story, even if you aren't actually anything. You just want to feel included. You just do. You just do. So many high school kids are like, man, there's a day for this, there's a day for that. Little Timmy in Britain, who if he doesn't get turned into a transgender when he's 5 or 6, let's say when he's 15, I'm so sick and tired, but thankfully I won't be trans yet. And then a few years later, let me see if I can do like a teenage boy British voice. Right, listen, I'm done. I'm sick and tired. I'm scrolling through my timeline, and I'm seeing just little Brittany, who actually used to be Ben, and he's wearing. She's wearing a dress, and I'm just like, he's getting all the. She is getting all the great comments in the comment section and all the likes. So you know what? I'm done. I'm going to take estrogen, and I'm going to wear the dresses, and it's just what's going to happen, so that I can celebrate National Coming Out Day too, or maybe I should just be gay. Whatever it is, so that I get all the praise as well. I get celebrated. It might just be that. It might just be that, folks. Like so many in the LGBTQ community, coming out wasn't an easy thing to do. My family was traditional and conservative. Being gay in my family wasn't something that you mentioned out loud or celebrated. She went on to detail about how her family grew to accept who she was and who she loved, adding that the beauty of America is its freedoms and the promise that you can achieve your dreams no matter your race, sex, country of origin, orientation, and gender identity. There is something we continue to strive for. Oh, man. I don't know, guys. I can rant for hours. I really can about this stuff, but in the end, who's gonna hear me? I know y'all hear me, but will she hear me? Citing the upcoming holidays and seasonal changes, he urged Americans 12 years and older to get an updated COVID-19 shot as well as their annual flu jab. That was the White House COVID-19 response coordinator, Dr. Ashish Jha, who had been patiently waiting at the edge of the stage and was invited up to the podium to deliver his remarks after she flapped her gums about how proud she was to be gay. Because that's so much more important than the flu shots and vaccine shots, apparently, which, you know, in my opinion, you could have just scrubbed the whole thing. I mean, it is Karine Jean-Pierre's thing to actually just cancel entire press briefings whenever she's not comfortable with answering questions anymore, so why not? Why not, man? Why not? Oh my gosh, man. I don't know anymore. Forever. But of course, Karine Jean-Pierre isn't the only proud WOC, bro, woman of color out there flapping her gums about something. Vice President Kamala Harris is on the field as well. It just so happens she's somehow saying even less than Karine Jean-Pierre was. I don't know how. I'm not even going to try and read this tweet. It's like, it's almost worse than the thing she said a couple months ago with the benefit of the passage of time or the communications and all that. The community. Let's hear it.
But I mean, truly, when you see our kids, and I truly believe that they are our children, they are the children of our country, of our communities. I mean, our future is really bright if we prioritize them, and therefore prioritize the climate crisis and the need to address. But I mean.
How does that connect? Wait, one more time. Maybe it's a little tuned out. I was reading some comments. Let's try this one more time for Kamala Harris to say this. Real quick, let's try it again.
Truly, when you see our kids, and I truly believe that they are our children, they are the children of our country, of our communities.
That's true.
I mean, our future is really bright if we prioritize them, and therefore prioritize the climate crisis.
So the future of the kids of our country, which are our kids, they're our kids, and we prioritize the future of our kids, which they are the kids of our country, and they are within the community. And if we prioritize the kids that are our kids in the community, utilizing the benefit of the passage of time, we might just, for our kids, which. Once again, as we prioritize them and remember that they are our kids within our community, the future can be bright. And, alongside prioritizing our kids within our community, because they are our kids within our community, the further and more we prioritize them, then we prioritize the climate crisis. Yeah. No, that's about right. No, yeah. Subtly inferring that the children belong to the state. Wrong, my kid. There will be no future of children if you keep murdering them. Jeez. Deplorable moo. Holy crap, that's so true. A garçon says prioritize her right out the door. Oh, that's good. Terry Cantanilla says Kamala snuck in. Climate change, right? Always, every time. They can never bring up our children with the benefit of the passage of time within our community. Well... without plugging the politics into it. Plug in the climate crisis, I think we should remember, Kamala, though, we have to prioritize the climate crisis based on equity, right? We'll pull up what you said a few months back, or actually just like a couple weeks back at this point, when she was talking about how we need to prioritize aid to those that need it the most. Where is that? I know I have it in here somewhere. We have a lot of stories in the last few weeks. Climate change based on race. There you go. I'm glad my system works. But here we go. When she was talking about how we need to prioritize it based on equity, race, and gender.
About the families in Florida, in Puerto Rico, with Fiona, and what we need to do to help them in terms of an immediate response and aid, but also what we need to do to help restore communities and build communities back up in a way that they can be resilient.
Build back better, right? Is that right? Are we building back better?
Not to mention adapt to these extreme weather conditions, which are part of the future. On the point that you made about disparities, when I was district attorney of San Francisco.
Back when she was district attorney of San Francisco, when she locked up 3,000 people for marijuana charges. Let's not forget that one, by the way. Just don't forget it. Good to remember.
I was elected in 2003. I started one of the first environmental justice units of any DA's office in the country focused on this issue, and in particular on the disparities, as you have described rightly, which is that it is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions.
Because, of course, when the wind is blowing at like 100 miles an hour and the rain is up to your neck, it matters a lot more if you're black or white about like if you're going to drown or something. Because the numbers have come out. The numbers from Hurricane Ian have come out. The majority of people died from drowning. So obviously, you know, black people, they obviously just can't survive in the water that well. That's what Kamala Harris is saying. You know, black people, communities of color, I guess. I don't know if Asian is still within of color. I've heard conflicting reports. They kind of, you know, flip flop about what is of color these days. But, you know, they clearly, assuming it's one of the days where they are a community of color, they also like they just drown more. That's right.
And impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so
women.
Absolutely.
Don't forget women. Don't forget women. Women. Oh man, let me tell you, when the water really starts pouring for women, they just I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You know, the men, the straight white men, they must be.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
Wait a second. Isn't that implying that white men and white communities are better than the communities of color? Better than the women? My mind is blown. Kamala Harris, hold on.
We have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place.
And there's the quote. There's the quote I wanted y'all to hear that is just so very insane. So very insane. And that's the funny thing. Each and every time you hear these people talking about how we need to give to the communities that need it most, even in the midst of a natural disaster in which everybody is suffering and everybody is going through some terrible things, we have to understand that more and more people are suffering now than ever before because they're black. Oh, is that what you're saying, Kamala Harris? Because I sit here and I break down the logic, and it reminds me that holy crap, the more these people go on and on saying the communities of color need help, the more and more you're saying the white communities don't need help because they're stronger, they're smarter, they're better. They are better. Kamala Harris, that's what you're implying. Your implications expose what you truly believe inside each and every time they say it. Each and every time they say it. Ben Mabry says she's a joke. Too bad she's vice president. And she also must live in a rose-tinted world to think she was a good DA, right? It was something like a few thousand people that she threw behind the bars. She prosecuted herself as a district attorney for marijuana, and then she turns around and laughs about it. You guys remember when Tulsi Gabbard exposed her? Oh, it was a beautiful thing. One of the rare good Tulsi Gabbard moments. But all that stuff that she was involved with, she just one day flips the switch and says, oh no, actually, I didn't mean to be that bad. It was just, you know, the circumstances, obviously. It was the times. But now times have changed, and it's beneficial to be not who you are, Kamala Harris. So congratulations to that, and congratulations to everybody who's tuned in with us today for another episode of Crump Live. We've reached the end of our stories. You may now turn back and rewatch from the beginning if you want more dose of Chandler Crump entertainment. But thank you guys so much for being here. Shout out to the people who joined the Hall of Heroes just in the last couple of days. Shout out to our Hall of Champions as well. If you guys haven't already, make sure you smash that like button on their way out. I would really, really appreciate it. We're at 46 likes. We're about to hit 50. So if you, just 4 people left that haven't hit the like button, make sure you smash it right now on the way out. Once again, I gotta thank you guys. A great time we had on tonight's show. All the folks we had in the chat, Garson, Renee, Airwaves, Terry Catania, everybody else we had in here on YouTube, and then also our folks over on Rumble as well. Huge shout out to them, Ollie and Patriot Spreads, and all the folks who are our silent viewers as well, although I would appreciate you guys speaking up a bit. Last but not least, I want to remind you guys once again to join our locals community, a great place for you to get all of the notifications about when we're going live, and for your own ability to post like Mandatory Carry so liberally does over on our community. If you want to share your own things, you have something you want me to see, or you just want to interact with the wider Chandler Crump community as a whole, make sure you join chandlercrump.locals.com and use code CRUMP for your first 2, not just 1, 2 months free. That is a $10 value I'm basically giving to you for free. Just use code CRUMP, because once again, our thing is normally $5 a month, but we're running this code for a limited time only for the next month. The code expires on November 1st, so use it before you lose it. 2 months free, chandlercrump.locals.com, for your own ability to see all the things we've got posted over here and share how much you love your liberty. All that good stuff is available for you guys in the comments. Shout out to all that. Shout out to the folks over on Locals. All that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here. Ben, Sakiro, all the folks. We had a great evening. We'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the Chandler Brief, but also exclusively over on Rumble. We'll be gaming tonight at 9:30. We'll be starting a brand new game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare from 2017, which is a remake of the game from 2007, not the game that released in 2019. Yes, it's very confusing, but we'll be gaming tonight. If you want to hang out with me, get a little bit more chill Chandler as we continue our live Let's Play, tune in tonight at 9:30 for our stream. Anyways, aside from all that, thank you guys so much for being tuned in. Don't forget to spread the artist intelligence. Peace out, and good night.
Into the light we go.